Hey everybody, this is Paddy from OddsOnFPL here. Make sure if you're new around here to click that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on. We've got tips, tricks, and everything you need for Game Week 6. And we're going to be sharing that Game Week 6 team reveal that I know you're all waiting for. So, let's get into the video. Game Week 5 was a game week that a lot of people would rather forget. Whether you chose to captain somebody other than Haaland or you know, just existed. It was one of those game weeks that a lot of people didn't do well in. The average score was 44 points, and if you got above that, you did well. So, speaking about getting above that, I'm going to talk you through my team now, just from last week. The goalkeeping decision this week for my team sort of defined or sort of, elaborated on a little bit of what the week was going to be. Although it was the last player in my team to play, it still sort of summarized how the game week went. On my bench, I had Sanchez with 10 points, and then my starting goalkeeper had 2 points. Nottingham Forest look like the kind of side that will get it right, but they also look like the kind of side that sell and buy 25 players a window. At fullback, Burnley just attacked them with pace, and the defenders couldn't deal with it. They kept on getting behind, and that's something that opposition teams could look to target. If they can keep on getting fast players to go in behind their fullbacks, attack and cut back, there's going to be goals against Forest there. My worry is that Turner may eventually get dropped for the Greek lad whose name I'm still not going to attempt to say. So moving on quickly and forgetting those 8 points because they're gone now. It's the defense. In defense, obviously, we brought in Trippier this week and delighted with the 8 points. I'm just happy to keep a clean sheet. 8 points feels phenomenal in a game week like this. Man City again conceded a clean sheet. This is their third game week where they've had over a 50% chance of a clean sheet and conceded a goal. They also this week have over a 50% chance of a clean sheet. Will they concede a goal again? Probably, but we never learn in this game. Cash as well, he's really been a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde sort of situation this season. It's either 1 point, -1 point, or 20 points. And this week it was 1 point. Saliba as well kept a clean sheet, looked very good. The thing is with Arsenal, they're just getting results. And if they're going to be tied at the back, that's also good. But their next game's against Spurs, so that's something to worry about. I'm going to keep it short with the defense and then move on to the midfield. In midfield, looking at the rest of the team here, you didn't really get points from Rashford or Mbuemo, and I'm just not going to talk about the Man United result. Okay, so we're going to move on from that one. I think I can think of 3 reasons that I don't want to talk about it. It's just, it's not great. Mbuemo didn't score, didn't do anything. Oh well, they're playing Everton next. He can't score every week, even though I said he would, but he's not the kind of player that you're going to be getting rid of because of one blank. Then looking at Odegaard and Saka, Odegaard got the pre-assist for Saka's assist to Trossard. There is something to consider with Arsenal. I know I'm putting this video out on a Wednesday, so we'll learn more about the situation with Martinelli. Trossard could become a very interesting option this week, especially depending on how long Martinelli's out. He's the kind of player that you could get in for Odegaard and then feel okay with having somebody cheaper. Arsenal, their fixtures aren't great. Next up is Spurs. That's a real litmus test to see how good Spurs are as well. So it's something to keep an eye on. Odegaard could be coming out of the side pretty soon. In midfield, looking at the rest of the team here, he didn't really get points from Rashford or Mbuemo, and I'm just not going to talk about the Man United result. Okay, so we're going to move on from that one. I think I can think of 3 reasons that I don't want to talk about it. It's just, it's not great. Mbuemo didn't score, didn't do anything. Then up front, Ollie Watkins got another 5 points. He just doesn't know how to score. In the Premier League this season, there has been no striker in the league who has had a worse XG per goal scored. He scored 0 goals and he's at almost 3 XG now. He just refuses to take penalties, and you know what? It's probably right because he's terrible at them. But at least then he would have scored. Aston Villa have had 2 penalties this season, and they've both been scored by Douglas Luiz. So, you know what, Watkins, you just take one, please, because I need those points. And then I would rather not speak about Haaland. Haaland had more XG than pretty much every team in the Premier League this season. It was another one of those game weeks where Haaland could have scored 20 points, but Areola just kept them out, and so did his own profligate finishing, something that you normally wouldn't associate with Erling Haaland. He had so many chances. He missed sitter after sitter, and realistically, he could have got another hat trick. He's just phenomenal, and if you don't captain him week in week out, you were playing a risky game. He has a 92% ownership. There's so many dead teams that are going to beat you if you don't captain him. For me, from now, Haaland's captain. So I've sort of spoiled something later on in the video for you. Last week, though, we got 49 points. It's above average. I love being above average. We got 327 points, and the overall rank has gone up from 79k to 75k. It's not nice like 69k, but it's all right. It's still good. It's still good. So yeah, looking at that, I'm content with it. But we could have been so much higher if we had started Sanchez. But alas, we didn't. We can't cry over spilled milk. Now, looking at last week, though, we got 49 points. It's above average. I love being above average. We got 327 points, and the overall rank has gone up from 79k to 75k. It's not nice like 69k, but it's all right. It's still good. It's still good. So yeah, looking at that, looking at the Content Creators League, we're still in third. We're rapidly catching up on Mr. Bacon, who is faltering fast because all those chips are gone. And Nathan, we're coming for you. So yeah, looking at that, hopefully we'll get up to first place sooner or later, but it's a tight competition there at the top. So this week now, we're going to keep this video nice and short for you. No 20-minute video, but we could. So what are we going to do this week? Well, I'm going to first look at the clean sheet percentages. I created this graphic there, which shows the most likely teams to keep a clean sheet and then the least likely teams to keep a clean sheet. This is all based off of Draft Town. I visualized this image to make it aesthetically pleasing for all of you to see. The most obvious teams to have are players from Man City, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Brentford, Liverpool, and Brighton. And in our team, we have quite a lot of those players. Notably, Ruben Dias, who's got a 60% chance of a clean sheet. Then at Newcastle, we have Trippier. Crystal Palace, we don't have players from because it's Crystal Palace. Brentford, we have a midfielder, but defensively, they might be a bit weaker with Rico Henry being out injured. Then at Liverpool, we had Trent Alexander-Arnold, who should be back, but we're not getting him back. Brighton, then we have Estupinan, who should be fit to play after his short break after a long trip down in South America, playing for Argentina and No, it wasn't Argentina. Ecuador. Sorry. I'm moving ahead of myself here. But yeah, he should be back in the starting team this week after a bit of a break. Looking then obviously at the teams that you want to be avoiding if you have them. Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, and West Ham. There's going to be quite a few people who have Areola and Turner as their keepers. So hope for save point, boys, because you're not getting a clean sheet. Next up, we have the expected points. This always helps with picking a captain. This is taken from Draft Town. As you can see, Haaland, once again, most likely point scorer. His XG, his underlying stats are just so good. If you go against them, you are risking ruining your season. I cannot advise you to go against it. But if you're looking at other players, you've got Salah, Alvarez, Matoma, Gross, Foden. Alvarez is one of those players that I'm going to discuss now in a minute, but he looks amazing. He's on all their set pieces, and Pep said he's almost undroppable. Salah at 12.5 million as well is a good pick, and if I was on a wildcard, I'd be definitely considering him because he's just ticking along nicely. He's getting a lot of points. I just think at his price point, it's quite difficult to validate bringing him in, don't you think? Matoma as well. I sort of just like him. He's a great player, but I still remember the end of last season, and I'm just worried. Saka as well, that's something to consider. He's still got one of the highest point expectancies in the game week, in spite of them playing against Tottenham Hotspur. So with your assets from Arsenal, it's something that you have to consider. I wouldn't be too sure about them keeping a clean sheet, as you could see from the last slide. But attacking, they're still going to get points. Nobody on here is really that surprising apart from Sterling because that's expecting Chelsea to score goals. The most contested and difficult thing to analyze this week is your Spurs players and your Arsenal players. I think it's quite similar to Man United against Arsenal a few game weeks ago. This is a game that you don't want your fullbacks, your centre backs to be playing in. and I would probably bench them. If you have Udogi, if you have Saliba, I wouldn't have them in this game. I would consider getting rid of my Spurs assets because their fixtures just aren't great for the next 2 game weeks. As for Arsenal, I would keep them but bench them because they're playing Bournemouth in the week after. So if you have a player like James Maddison, Son Heung-min, or if you have for Arsenal an Odegaard, a Trossard, a Jesus, and Nketiah, why would you have Jesus actually? But a Saka, somebody like that. These are the kind of players that you're going to want to start because both sides are most likely going to score goals. I don't think either of them will keep a clean sheet. So yeah, that's what I think about this situation. Get rid of your defenders, don't start them. And also, we don't know who's going to be starting in goal for Arsenal. So is it going to be Raya? Is it going to be Ramsdale? Is he going to keep on rotating? Who knows with that immaculately haired man?
Everybody, transfer.
So after making 2 transfers last week, now comes the decision of a transfer this week. Am I going to bring in Julian Alvarez? Just ignore that I said his name wrong. The thing is with Julian Alvarez is he looks great. He passes the eye test. He seems to have that position nailed down. And you know what? Pep has come out with a quote lauding him to the point of him being one of the most important players in his team, to going as far as saying that he is almost undroppable. Pep Guardiola's quote essentially saying that he is almost undroppable. This is Pep Guardiola. We all know what that means. We all know what that means. Nobody has a guarantee with me. He's getting dropped. Julian Alvarez, you heard it here first. He's getting dropped. So I think we've all played this game long enough. He's getting dropped. He's not starting this weekend. So I'm not bringing him in. The logical thing here is to get rid of Watkins and bring in Julian Alvarez. But you know what? He's getting dropped. So I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not risking it. I'm not doing it. Nobody has a guarantee with me. Nobody. I'm not somebody who's almost undroppable because, that implies that he's droppable. And he played in La Paz in Bolivia. He's shattered. He had a long flight back from La Paz. He's going to be dropped. Going to be dropped. All that's price rise is grand, whatever. He's going to be dropped. Oh, sorry, I'm waffling. But yeah, he's going to be dropped. Yeah. So, transfers this week, not making any. I'm being boring. I'm going to bank my transfer. So let's go through my team then. In goal is Sanchez. You know what's going to happen now? He's going to concede twice and I'm not going to get points. And then Turner's going to get the points. So yeah, let's move on from that. He's playing Villa, which means Watkins hopefully scores and hopefully makes me feel good about myself. Then in defense, we move from a 4-man to a 3-man. We're setting Ruben, who's got a 60% chance of a clean sheet, but knowing Man City, they'll concede with their only shot on target against them. Estupinan as well. He's probably back in the fold for the game against Bournemouth. I think they're starting to get their shit together when it comes to defending. So we could keep a clean sheet in this game. And then Trippier against Sheffield United. I just feel like that's one in the bag already. I know the percentage is quite low, but I just think they might be tired. I doubt they'll rotate him, but hopefully not. Anyway, that's what a bench is for, isn't it? Maybe Saliba will come in. Who knows? Then in midfield, there's Rashford, who is playing against Burnley. If United weren't playing Burnley, Rashford would be sent into the ether. I would never consider him again. I would not look at Man United's fixtures and I would just get rid of the player because United are terrible. I'm a United fan. United are terrible. And it hurts me to say that. Actually, it doesn't anymore. I don't really care anymore. It's just, I sort of feel like an Everton fan where I've just gotten used. Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Yeah, because Everton are really bad. We're just bad. But anyway, yeah, I don't really have faith in us anymore. I think Rashford against Burnley has to do something, doesn't he? But I expect nothing anymore. Anything. If I get more than 2 points, I'll be chuffed. So if I get 3 points, I'm having a party. You're not invited, but I'm having a party. Then Mbuemo's against Everton. Mbuemo is a great captaincy shout this week if Erling Haaland didn't exist. Everton are terrible, as I just said. Sorry, yeah, Everton are catching strays here. Then, as I already said, Arsenal are going to score goals against Spurs. Spurs are probably going to score goals against Arsenal. So both of these players, if Arsenal score, tend to be involved. So these two players are starting for me. There won't be captaincy options, but I don't have an issue with starting either of them. I think both of them are good assets, and they will probably score or assist in the game. Moving then on to forward line, I have an early, interesting sneak peek of a player that's going to be starting in game week 7. All right, you already know if you've been following the team. Morris is starting. Morris is starting. Alert, alert. Morris is starting. Playing against Wolves, which is a test, I guess. Luton looked better away from home, and they've looked better at home. I think they could score, and this could be Morris's time to shine. So his XG is like 0.39 a game, which isn't bad, but that's including a penalty. And I think Luton could get penalties. They look better. Kabore looked really good in the last game. He was getting up and down the wing, really creating a lot of chances. They're just not finishing them. Then obviously we've got the captaincy on somebody who I'm going to announce in a minute in the same video that I'm going to use for the whole season. And Ollie Watkins, who's away to Chelsea. So Watkins could cancel out Sanchez. And you know what? If Watkins scores a hat-trick, I'm happy with it because he feels like a bit more of a differential now that a lot of people are selling him for Julian Alvarez. He's going to be benched. Haaland as well. It's Haaland playing against Nottingham Forest. You got to captain him. You just got to do it. So before I announce captaincy, which you're all going to be surprised to know what it is, I'm going to ask you one more thing. Subscribe. Means a lot. We're aiming for 2,130 subscribers by the end of this week. If we get that, it's amazing. You know what? I'll have a party. I'll be going to Barcelona. I'll drink some sangria. I'll have some tapas, and I will be chuffed while in Spain. Yeah, anyway, this video is coming out a bit earlier than usual because I'm going away this weekend. I know you really care about my life, but yeah, I'm going to see a Barcelona game. Share some videos on Twitter or whatever. They're not actually playing at Nou Camp, which is a bit depressing, but you know, it's nice. So anyway, yeah, subscribe. Means a lot. Thanks. Captaincy goes to your boy, Erling Haaland. Don't really have to say too much about it. It's Nottingham Forest at home. If he doesn't score 2, I'll be annoyed. His anytime goal scoring chance is like 70%, so he'll score. He always scores. He's inevitable. Just is what it is. So yeah, anyway, that's been this video. I'm going to upload this and then go watch the United game against Bayern and cry. So thanks. And I'm going to say goodbye and cry.